All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking real music in real time for real people just like you and just like me. All right, was talking about these guys a couple of years ago. This is the Big Wolf Band. The album is called Be Free. Couldn't agree more with the album title. Be free, ladies and gentlemen. Live free or die. This is just a great collection of blues rock material. This band is from the UK, so don't hold it against them. No, I'm just kidding. There's a lot of great music from the UK out there. And it tends to be a little more American and a little bit more accessible than some of the other countries. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm not trying to disparage here. You just disparage the entire planet other than the UK. No, I'm just saying I've noticed that I like music from the UK. I like music from Sweden too. I listen to a lot of music from Sweden. So yeah, I guess I'm biased. I have a country bias. It's got to be something. What is it? Countryism? Worldism? I don't know. They'll come up with a name and then I'll be guilty of it. Anyway, check out the Big Wolf Band. Really great blues and rock music from the UK. Now, Jeff Beck, I think he was from the UK as well. And he's going to be missed. Jeff Beck is going to be missed for a number of reasons. The tributes are coming in to Jeff Beck, and deservedly so. Ronnie Wood said, now that Jeff has gone, I feel like one of my band of brothers has left this world, and I'm going to miss him dearly. He says, I'm sending much sympathy to his wife, Sandra, his family, and all who loved him. And I want to thank him for our early days together in the Jeff Beck group, Conquering America. Mick Jagger, who worked with Jeff Beck, says he's very sad and lost a wonderful man, one of the greatest guitar players in the world. Amen to that. We will all miss him so much. Jimmy Page, who was Beck's former Yardbirds bandmate, offered his technique was unique, his imagination's apparently limitless. Jeff, I will miss you along with your millions of fans. Coming from Jimmy Page, his imagination's apparently limitless. That is a really great quote. David Gilmour from Pink Floyd said, I am devastated to hear the news of the death of my friend and hero, Jeff Beck, whose music has thrilled and inspired me and countless others for so many years. Polly, that's his wife, I believe, and my thoughts, Polly's thoughts and my thoughts go out to his lovely wife, Sandra. He will be forever in our hearts. Paul Stanley from Kiss. Wow, what awful news. Jeff Beck, one of the all-time guitar masters, has died. From the Yardbirds and the Jeff Beck group on, he blazed a trail impossible to follow. Gene Simmons weighs in. I'm just going to skip Gene Simmons. Sorry. Tony Iommi says Jeff was such a nice person and an outstanding, iconic, genius guitar player. There will never be another Jeff Beck. Exactly. His playing was very special and distinctively brilliant. He will be missed. All of these people understand the uniqueness of Jeff Beck. Geezer Butler, shocked to hear of the sudden death of Jeff Beck, truly one of the greats. First time I saw him was in 1966 with the Yardbirds. Brilliant, unique guitarist. Rest in peace. Sammy Hagar, absolutely one of my favorite guitarists of all time. The Truth album changed my life. As a singer and guitarist, I wanted to be Jeff Beck and Rod Stewart rolled into one. We all did. What a loss. We will all miss Jeff. Sammy Hagar is a classy dude. My love and condolences to his family and loved ones. Dave Davies from the Kinks says, I'm heartbroken. He looked in fine shape to me. Playing great. He was in great shape. I'm shocked and bewildered. Deepest sympathy to his wife, his friends, close ones. He'd keep saying, I'm bewildered. It just doesn't make sense. I don't get it. He was a good friend and a great guitar player. David Coverdale says, oh, my heart. Rest in peace, Jeff. I miss you already. Broken hearts. Gary Kemp from Spandau Ballet says, an absolute god of guitar. Amen. No one can replace him. from rock to soul to jazz. He was the greatest player in all genres, unique. Such awful news, but thank you, Jeff, for all you gave us. Steve Hackett, devastating news about the loss of much-loved, influential guitar legend Jeff Beck. He made the electric guitar sing, a powerful influence on myself and others. Steve Hackett, no slouch himself. And that begs the question. It does beg a question moving forward. Who's coming along to be the next Jeff Beck, the next Stevie Ray Vaughan, the next Eddie Van Halen, the next Jimi Hendrix, the next Duane Allman, right? Nobody. I'm sorry. All right, look, that was really cynical to say nobody. But I think we have to come to grips with this idea that because of, I think, the way technology is ruining a lot of things. In addition to that, the radio industry decided to go in a direction 30 plus years ago, and they haven't gone back. And I know everything is cyclical. One of my friends who is still involved with radio broadcasting tells me, don't worry about it. It's coming back. And I'm like, so when's it coming back? It hasn't come back. And now that you've gone a full generation plus, and you don't really cater to the kind of music that all of these people, these aforementioned amazing guitarists, all of that music that was a staple of rock and roll for I don't know how many years, from what, 1955 until about 1992. That's where I put the demarcation place. Now, there were dribs and drabs that continued into maybe the mid 1990s, but that wasn't at the top. That was like still in there, but way down the list. You know, Kenny Wayne Shepherd comes to mind. He came along a little later. Joe Bonamassa comes to mind. He came along later, but they didn't enjoy the kind of commercial success that their predecessors had. And that's because everything shifted. And it hasn't shifted back, and it doesn't show any signs of shifting back to where it was. A lot of people don't understand Jeff Beck. They don't understand the brilliance. They didn't listen to Jeff Beck. Some people have no idea who he is. I'm sure people are like, who? The great Jeff Beck. I mean, it was like a trinity of guitarists there. It was like Beck, Clapton, Page, those three guys, and then there are others. You know, Robin Trower is in there. I mean, there's certain incredible guitar players that came out of that British invasion era, and then a few American guitar players like Jimi Hendrix. Obviously, later you had Stevie Ray Vaughan, Duane Allman, who's doesn't get any ink these days. He was just insanely good. I don't know what the future holds, but it doesn't really bode well if you're a fan of the electric guitar. Not in the way that it once was. We had overachievers. We had guys who were their own thing. Eddie Van Halen was his own thing. That's why people don't want to do a tribute to Ed, because they're like, no, he was his own thing. I can't do what he did. It would just be a horrible idea, right? Because this is the new rationale why there's no tribute to Ed. Jeff Beck, nobody's going to try to duplicate that because you can't really duplicate it. And I don't know if that's even the point. The point is that you go out and be you, right? And try to do the best do the best version of you on guitar, or you on bass guitar, or you on drums, whatever it is that you're playing. And because that's not really celebrated and revered anymore, it's not a thing to say, hey, I want to be the next Jimi Hendrix. That's not a thing anymore, unfortunately. And I know in pockets all over the world, there are bands, there are musicians that are still trying to do those things and be those things. but the industry is not supporting you in your endeavor. And the sad thing is you have to be able to earn a living. And if you can't pursue your dreams and earn a living, then eventually you're going to, decide, do I want to eat? Do I want to support my family? And you're going to find a job that does that. And then you're going to put the guitar away and you're going to play it here and there, but you're not going to be Jeff Beck. You're not going to be Jimmy Page. That's just the reality of all of this. So, the day after learning about Jeff Beck, you think to yourself, well, what do we have to look forward to? Now, some of us are older and we're just going to listen to our Jeff Beck albums. We're going to grab our Stevie Ray Vaughan greatest hits album or whatever it is, and you put it on and you're just dumbfounded, like, wow, this is just so much better. It's almost like, getting in a nice hot tub after being in the cold for a while, and you get in, you're like, oh man, when you hear this music after, say, listening to some of the modern stuff, even the stuff that I try to promote, which I like, you go back to the classics and you're like, oh man, these guys were just so much better. And there's no way around that. There just isn't. The Beatles, okay, the Rolling Stones, Led Zeppelin. There's not a lot of better music out there than stuff like that. And when you go back to it, you can understand why people say, you know what, this is my Mozart, this is my Beethoven, leave me alone. You're not going to convince me that your new band from Sweden is more important than what I'm listening to. And I would have to agree with you. Hard not to agree. So anyway, there's nobody coming along to replace Jeff Beck. And that's just in general. But there's no spirit of wanting to be Jeff Beck out there or wanting to be Stevie Ray Vaughan. There's Jimi Hendrix. There's nobody. I mean, the t-shirt of the guy I'm wearing, Selwyn Birchwood, he's a guitar player here in Florida. It's really good. And he's got some Hendrix-y stuff going on, but he's still his own man, and which is good. But is he getting a lot of interest or airplay on terrestrial radio? I don't know. I guess if you have like Sirius radio or something, you might hear a song by him now and then. But the support team, the structure to support these types of artists moving forward just doesn't exist. It's not there. So that's part of this. Back in the day, all of these guys, I mean, Jeff Beck could put out the most experimental, independent records, and he was on like what, CBS, Columbia, major label, album after album. Okay, here's Blow by Blow, here's Wired, here's Truth, here's Beckola, and you're like, how? Why would they do that? Why? Because music was king in those days. Music was not about hit singles all the time. It was about, hey, we got to get this guy out to the masses. When they hear the way he plays, holy crap, Batman, people are going to buy this album. And they did. They bought enough albums where everybody made some money, and Jeff could support his family, and he could continue to do what God put in his being. That's a God-given talent. So in any event, I'm rambling a bit, so I'm going to end this video by showing you this band again, Big Wolf Band. They are from the UK, and there are a few bands out there trying to move the ball down the field. This isn't a replacement for Jeff Beck or Stevie Ray Vaughan or Dwayne Allman or any of those guys, but it's good stuff. And it reminds you and me, people like you and me, that there is music out there to be heard, and people are trying to keep this alive. So in 2023, I think we've got to keep this going. We've got to find a way to keep this music going and to tell everybody about where we find great music. And that's part of what I do on this channel. So I want to thank everybody for supporting the channel. I'm hitting new lows, though, when it comes to patronage and overall viewership and so forth. So I need your support. Please subscribe to the channel. Please watch the videos. If you would like, sign up. Patreon, it's only $1 a month, $2 a month, whatever you can afford. You can also support me by joining the membership community over on YouTube. There's a button that says join. That wasn't there before. It's there now, so you can join that. And for $2.99 a month, I believe that all gets thrown into the YouTube tally at the end of the month or in the middle of the month or wherever they actually pay out. So anyway, I appreciate all the support. And I'll be over on Patreon now and then. So I will address your questions, and I will make my own comments on your posts, and you can comment on my posts. So yeah, that's what we do over on Patreon. And thanks again for being there, and I will see you soon.